My name is Arif Iqbal, and this is WNS News. We return to this week's shocking story, the cyber psycho attack on Night City Mayor Lucius Rhyne. The crazed assailant attacked the mayor during a press conference, but fortunately was stopped by NCPD Detective River Ward before the worst could happen. Celebrated by the press as Super Cop, today Ward was given the Medal of Merit by the mayor. What could have been a horrible tragedy may be a blessing in disguise for the mayor who seeks another term in the upcoming mayoral election. According to the latest polls in wake of the attack, Rhyne's lead over his opponent Jefferson Peralez has jumped from 12 to 19 percentage points. We'll be right back with more local news. Hello, I'm Arif Iqbal with WNS News. Today is a sad one in our city's history. Mayor Lucius Rhyne has passed away. We learned of Mayor Rhyne's death from his family. He died peacefully in his sleep. The exact cause of his death has not been released, but initial reports suggest coronary implant failure. The remainder of Mayor Rhyne's term will be fulfilled by his deputy mayor and closest associate, Weldon Holt. Holt has also announced plans to run for mayor in the upcoming election.
Today, we all mourn the untimely loss of our mayor and dear friend, Lucius Rhyne. But when we've dried our tears, we must look to the future. To the future Lucius envisioned for our fair city. I promise to do everything in my power to ensure his work will continue on. Rest in peace, my friend.
Rhyne's political opponent, former District Attorney Jefferson Peralez, also offered his condolences.
Look, Mayor Rhyne and I often did not meet eye to eye on political matters, and we sometimes traded sharp words. But even after our most heated debates, we always shared a handshake of mutual respect. Today, I say farewell to him for the last time. Thank you, Lucius, for everything you've done for our city.
Who next will assume Rhyne's mantle? We'll find out soon. The first polls following Rhyne's death reveal a neck-and-neck race between Holt and Peralez. Now, a word from our sponsors.
But we cannot forget, corporations are Night City's largest tax base, contributing 700 billion euro dollars last year alone.
A large sum, yes, I won't deny that. But just what percent of their profits does that amount to?
Oh, Jefferson, please. I don't think we want to bore our viewers with the nitty-gritty of the tax code.
Don't worry, Weldon. I'll take the blame if we bore anyone this evening. What percent of their profits did the city's 20 largest corporations pay?
I'm afraid I'd have to consult the Department of Taxation.
0.7%. That's what they pay. 0.7.
Gentlemen, I'd like to remind you not to interrupt.
Do you truly believe this amount is fair and equitable?
I won't be bullied by your accusations and finger-pointing. Yes, taxes are low, and that's good. When corporations prosper, so does the community.
And that's especially true for you, isn't it, Weldon? How much was it your campaign received from the Kangtao Corporation?
Well, maybe you'd care to tell us how much money you keep on the Cayman Islands.
I don't know how many times I have to explain. My accountant acted without my permission, and as soon as I found out...
Without your permission? Do you take me for an idiot, Peralez?
Please, please. Let's keep this debate civil.
On that, I think everyone will agree. We'll be right back with our coverage of the mayoral debate. Hello, it's time for your local news. The Aratama Matsuri Festival is nearly upon us. To mark the event, the streets of Night City will come alive with exquisite multi-story dashi floats. The festival program will also include musical performances by biwa virtuosos and theatrical performances in the No tradition. The sponsor for the festival is the Arasaka Corporation, and in an exciting development, even Hanako Arasaka has announced her participation in the Dashi Parade. From all of us at WNS News, we wish you a safe and fun Matsuri. Enjoy yourselves, Night City. After the break, cyber psychosis, myth or reality? Stay tuned.
Dear viewers, thank you for tuning in. I'm Arif Iqbal, and this is WNS News. We have a breaking story. It appears that during the attack on Konpeki Plaza, longtime Arasaka CEO Saburo Arasaka was killed. This shocking development comes to us directly from his son, Yorinobu Arasaka.
The assassins managed to escape, but it is no mystery who sent them. The Arvin Accord, signed by President Myers, required all parties of the conflict to renounce all shows of force. Despite many provocations, Arasaka has honored these agreements. Our rivals hold no such honor, and they will soon gravely regret those unforgivable actions.
On behalf of the entire WNS news team, we offer our sincerest condolences to the Arasaka family as they mourn their loss. The family's suffering must be immense. You have our deepest sympathies.
1919 was a year of great change in our history. The onset of American Prohibition, the end of World War I, and the birth of Saburo Arasaka. From an early age, Saburo was heavily involved in the business his father had founded. As a young man, he quickly demonstrated the work ethic and natural talent becoming of an exceptional manager. That is, until his promising career was abruptly interrupted by war upon his doorstep. Saburo Arasaka enlisted as a pilot in the Nippon Kaigun, the Japanese Imperial Navy. By the age of 23, he had already achieved the rank of lieutenant. With 20 confirmed aerial victories, he forever will be honored as one of the Imperial Army's most accomplished fighter pilots. But in 1942, during a routine mission, his plane was severely damaged. Yet, overcoming both grievous injury and a malfunctioning aircraft, Saburo managed to return to base. Join us after the break to hear what happened next. The injury sustained by Saburo Arasaka in 1942 ultimately proved serious enough to disqualify him from further combat missions. He could now only watch as the empire he defended began to suffer more and more losses, until their eventual and unconditional surrender in 1945. According to family accounts, Saburo, gripped by despair and shame, had resolved to commit seppuku, but then changed his mind at the very last moment. Why? No one knows. From the day he nearly took his own life, Saburo Arasaka has refused to speak about his wartime experience with anyone. He devoted his complete attention to one thing alone: his work. Following the death of his father Sasai Arasaka in 1960, Saburo assumed control of the family business. Under his direction, their humble company began on its path to becoming a world-leading corporate giant. It was in 1990 when Arasaka Corp first emerged on the Global 500 list. Then in 1996, after the collapse of the United States, it rose to number 2 in the rankings. At the most trying time in our history, Saburo Arasaka provided thousands of Americans with reliable work and helped us regain a sense of our former prosperity. For that, we will always owe him a debt of gratitude. Arigatou gozaimasu, Saburo-san. Night City is still in a state of mourning following the death of Arasaka CEO Saburo Arasaka. Flags on all city buildings were lowered to half-mast, and all major public events have been postponed until further notice. Daughter and heiress Hanako Arasaka recently arrived in the city in the wake of the tragedy. A wake will be held at Arasaka headquarters tomorrow at noon, after which the late CEO's remains will be transported to their final resting place back in his native Japan. Gomei fuku o oinori itashimasu. Hanako-sama, o ai dekite koe desu.
こちらこそ。
Now, Hanako-sama, I would first like to ask you...
Is ultimately to defend the well-being of my family and my employees.
That is why I have decided to double the amount of our active Night City security forces. President Myers has called this a breach in the Arvin Accord, a provocation targeted at the NUSA and Militech. Tell me then, what do we call the murder of my father? Was that not a provocation? Was that not a...
Hello, my name is Arif Iqbal, and this is WNS News. In today's international segment, we turn our eyes towards Asia. The summit between China and India has ended with the signing of a new trade agreement. Under the agreement, the tariffs for iridium, dysprosium, and lanthanum, rare metals necessary for the construction of the Chi-Yu-2 orbital station, have been lifted. The signatories have also agreed to the free movement of organic persons and biopodders between the two countries. This is the latest step in the two nations' push for greater economic integration and the benefits such cooperation brings. This flies in stark contrast to the NUSA's protectionism and trade war policies under President Myers. In science news, Biotechnica researchers have announced another breakthrough in genetics: the restoration of 3 previously extinct animal species: the North American beaver, the swift fox, and the eastern cottontail. Though back from the dead, these species will not be reintroduced to their natural habitats for fear of an increased risk of zoonotic disease, similar to the Great Bird Flu of 2061 and the rat fever of 2072. For the time being, the animals will only be grown on special order. The people of Turkey are bracing themselves for a radioactive sandstorm yet again this year. Meteorologists expect southern winds to carry several dozen tons of irradiated dust from the former states of Syria, Iraq, and Iran. The fallout from these territories, devastated during the so-called suicide war, remain the primary source of radiation that falls onto Europe and the Eastern Mediterranean. After the break, we take a closer look at the new sneakers from Avante that hit Night City shelves tomorrow. Hello, Night City. Thank you for tuning in. It's time for the local news. The long-awaited execution of Joaquin Schmidt, better known as the Watson Butcher, is scheduled to take place tomorrow. The 27-year-old confessed to the murder of 21 people, including his own sister and mother. His execution will be open to the public, and for those who prefer to watch from home, it will be live-streamed at the address you see at the bottom of your screen. This event's organizer, Capital Corrections Incorporated, promises a compelling spectacle as well as attractive prizes for a few lucky viewers. Attention Charter Hill residents. A recent study commissioned by All Foods has shown hazardous levels of lead and cadmium in your tap water that pose a significant risk to human health. The Night City Department of Water Management has attributed any elevated toxicity to obsolete municipal piping, though has made no plans for their replacement. Drinking bottled water remains the safest way to reduce your risk of waterborne illness. And remember, it's always cheapest at All Foods. NCART representatives have said to expect ongoing delays on the M2 Metro line. Arroyo Station was evacuated after its early warning system detected a massive population of rats dwelling in one of the tunnels. Pest control was immediately called to exterminate the infestation, but the NC Transport Authority has announced the station will remain closed until further notice. And that will do it for today's local news segment. Have a pleasant day, Night City. Hello, my name is Arif Iqbal, and this is WNS News. In today's international segment, reports of hardship have emerged from Alaska. According to the Incorporated Press, corn harvests have dropped by 80% from last year's yields, the result of catastrophically heavy rains and floods plaguing the region. Local authorities are under obligation to provide nearly 80 million bushels of their crop to Biotechnica, the engineers behind the frost corn hybrid species. The city of Juneau now faces a difficult choice of whether to honor the agreement, causing severe shortages in Alaska, or break the contract and forego next year's seed corn delivery from Biotechnica. Whether you believe Alaskans deserve humanitarian aid, or perhaps a lesson in self-reliance, cast your vote at the address below. Freak accident or targeted attack? Nano bees terrorize the residents of Milan. Eyewitness accounts tell us 7 million of the Fengwang nanobots suddenly ceased their pollination functions and buzzed straight for the Lombardy capital, though the cause remains unknown. The nanobees infested several buildings and moving vehicles, causing numerous reported accidents. The mayor of Milan, Lorenzo Ricci, announced the formation of an investigative committee to determine the cause behind the bizarre phenomenon. Ever dreamed of being a head of state? Now may be your chance. Luxury real estate firm No Limits at All has announced another 15 artificial islands, available for sale now. Each island spans at least 3 square miles and possesses a foundation built to withstand an 8 on the Richter scale. Because they are located in international waters, island owners fall under no nation's jurisdiction and are free to establish and enforce local law and custom. For more information on your future slice of paradise, visit the address below. In the meantime, this lovely West Coast weather isn't a bad substitute. Thanks for tuning in, Night City. My name is Arif Iqbal. Thank you for joining us on WNS News. We begin today with a look at the local news. Arasaka Corp has signed a cooperation agreement with Night City University. Professors and students now have the option to acquire an Arasaka Ozukumi SX cognitive implant on loan at a 20% discounted rate. Sources tell us installation of the implant will become a requirement for all faculty and enrolled students before long. In a troubling turn, 12 fatalities have been reported in Vista del Rey. City coroners have confirmed botulism as the cause of death. It appears the common thread between all the victims is the same type of canned meat. The NCPD urges everyone to purchase meat only from approved culinary labs. Meat butchered from natural sources is likely to contain harmful toxins and pathogens. After botulism, the next bug Night City will catch is Lizzie Wizzy Fever, as she announces her upcoming concert series. The world-renowned singer and artist is due to visit Night City soon. Tickets will only be available for purchase to those with a credit rating above 700. For all of Lizzie Wizzy's other fans, the concert will be available to view through domestic feeder units. And that's your latest, Night City. Until next time. Hello, my name is Arif Iqbal, and this is WNS News. A dead city livens up the news today. Following the catastrophic use of biological weapons in Busan during the Militech-Arasaka conflict of the early 2020s, essentially all forms of life have been wiped clean from the megacity. Millions of people, animals, and plants were eradicated in a matter of minutes. And a similar fate awaits any to this day who strays too close to the southern edge of the Korean peninsula and the waters surrounding it. Though not all in the city lies still. Automated systems powered by local tidal energy continue to operate unsupervised. Netwatch has warned that without proper maintenance, any Busan-based AI could, in time, pose a considerable threat. Arasaka has washed their hands of the issue, placing full blame for the ecological and subsequent technical crisis with Militech, who dropped the bombs. NUSA President Rosalind Myers has declined to comment on the matter. Meanwhile, in Europe, the Pedanian government is once again in the midst of a campaign to prevent illegal excavations and looting in the city of Venice. 4 looters and 7 carabinieri were killed in the most recent altercation. This city, submerged under the Adriatic Sea, still hides many centuries-old and priceless works of art. High demand from collectors has spurred on the continued looting. Official figures estimate the net worth of Venetian sculptures and jewelry sold illegally on the black market would be equivalent to 1/3 of the Pedanian economy's GDP. Most stolen works eventually find their way to collectors in private orbital stations, making reclamation a difficult process. Further west, Switzerland has officially become the first nation committed to a fully automated military by 2080. Already, 90% of the Swiss armed forces consist of Lobos, drones, and automated vehicles. The Officer Corps makes up the remaining 10%. As the Swiss government phases out its current Officer Corps, they will begin implementation of the CVS Pacem automated command system. As stated in the government's official press release, Switzerland can at last achieve its goal of true neutrality. CVS Pacem will secure our borders but will never position Switzerland as the aggressor. And that's the world's latest. Thanks for joining us. Until next time. Good day. I'm Arif Iqbal, and you're watching WNS News. Our coverage today centers on NUSA President Rosalind Myers. President Myers has officially announced her bid for another term in the upcoming election. Political analysts have argued that the risk for large-scale conflict in North America stands to increase further under Myers' continued leadership. Myers' cornerstone policy is her so-called unification plan, which many claim will severely limit civic freedoms and our inalienable right to self-determination. President Myers also hasn't shied away from her ties to Militech, where she led as CEO for nearly a decade. The interventionist and protectionist stance she adopted while there may prove a stable bedrock for economic growth in the NUSA, true, but risk considerable damage to the rest of America and Night City. Myers has also established herself as a staunch opponent of Arasaka Corp. She has repeatedly refused to sign truce agreements proposed by CEO Saburo Arasaka. What's more, her role in the so-called Busan Holocaust remains shrouded in mystery, a senseless tragedy that extinguished millions of lives. Despite numerous appeals, Militech has refused to disclose documents related to the merciless attack. The consensus among experts confirms that Myers' re-election would spell disaster, not only for the NUSA, but for all of North America. If you'd like to sign a petition in opposition to her candidacy, please visit the address below. In the quest for truth, we're WNS News. Tune in next time. Konnichiwa, Night City. I'm Arif Iqbal, and this is WNS News. We begin today's broadcast with a piece of welcome local news. Next year, Night City will play host to a Japanese festival of culture. The lineup of activities will include anime brain dances, a concert series featuring the year's hottest aidoru, as well as culinary workshops. The festival's headlining sponsor is the Arasaka Corporation. To them, I offer my own personal, heartfelt arigatou gozaimasu. In other news, the homeless population in Night City has risen by 300%. The NCPD has announced that it will soon launch a sweeping catch and release program to relocate the vagrants outside city limits. The police are asking any willing volunteers eager to help in the effort to report to their local NCPD station. In exchange, the police are offering the chance of a criminal record reset to those who actively participate. Night City, what does it mean to you? How well do you know its history? Who was Richard Knight? How many stations are in the NCART system? Which city district boasts the best burrito in town? The answers to these questions and more can be found at the address at the bottom of your screen. Check it out and fall in love with Night City all over again. That's it for today's latest. Thank you for spending your day with WNS News. My name is Arif Iqbal, and this is WNS News. We have a breaking development for today's international news segment, or should I say, interplanetary. In a daring orbital heist, millions of Eurodollars worth of goods were stolen from Galileo. The thieves docked with the station during a solar storm, which temporarily blinded radar systems, then breached the hull of an orbital air laboratory. The space pirates, as some have dubbed them, made away with several experimental prototypes. Their current heading is unknown, but the ESA has offered a generous reward for any assistance in apprehending the suspects. Back on Earth, a story of optimism emerges from Detroit. The Motor City, formerly infamous for a century of economic decline and squalor, has at last reached its new golden age. As good fortune would have it, the city's numerous landfills, abandoned buildings, and industrial zones are rich in rare resources, now highly valued in today's economy. Thousands of migrants have caught junk fever and set their sights on the city in the search of electronics manufactured around the turn of the century. Undeterred by hazardous conditions and gang violence, these pioneers truly demonstrate the beauty of the American entrepreneurial spirit. Today's closing story. Singhad Studios has announced a new way we, as a society, can care for our elderly. Rather than place our infirm elders in an expensive care center on the other side of town, we will soon be able to connect them to the Silver Days system. Silver Days is an advanced feeder unit adapted to the needs of our eldest relatives. The all-inclusive system consists of a catheter, aspirator, IV drip, nutrition tube, and most importantly, a next-gen brain dance wreath. Your loved ones will be able to forget the worries of today and return to the simpler times of their youth. All reconstructed from your own personal family archives. Don't waste another minute. Pre-order Silver Days now to receive a 10% discount. And I wish you all a bright and shiny day. Thanks for tuning in to WNS News. Hello and welcome to WNS News. I'm Arif Iqbal. Today we have several important public service announcements. In Arroyo, a terrorist group dubbing itself a trade union has been eradicated. These self-proclaimed representatives of Night City's working class attempted to organize a strike, which could have led to financial losses in the millions. Remember, if you come across these so-called union representatives, immediately contact the NCPD or the appropriate corporate security forces. More and more patients have been filing into hospitals throughout Night City with injuries caused by malfunctions in illegally purchased cyberware. Unauthenticated implants have caused several fatal short circuits already. The NCPD urges all cyberware users to buy only from licensed manufacturers. It's worth the investment. Numerous nomad caravans have appeared near city limits in North Oak and Charter Hill. Some reports suggest some of the violent vagrants may have entered Night City despite the NCPD's best efforts. If you spot a nomad, remember that you have the right to self-defense. With such dangerous criminals, warning shots alone are not considered an effective deterrent. Now, today's final story. An N-Cart station is stunned by a bloody massacre. The unidentified assailant opened fire on passengers waiting for the train on Platform 2 at Med Center. 10 people are confirmed dead and 16 injured. We advise Night citizens to thoroughly consider all transport options to find the safest solution. Thanks for tuning in to WNS News. Stay safe out there, Night City. Hello, my name is Arif Iqbal, and you're watching WNS News. The 27th Annual Conference of the Implant Manufacturers Association recently came to a close. One of the hottest topics discussed was the ever-increasing rate of cyber psycho attacks. Over the last decade, the number of incidents has increased as much as 43%. Lamar Kalimsky, association chairman, emphasized that it isn't the implants who kill people, but the individuals themselves who misuse their products. A fair point, Mr. Kalimsky. In Antony, just outside of Paris, dangerous left-wing political extremist Thomas Clichy was finally apprehended. Clichy has sowed unrest for years, urging European governments to restore pensions, annuities, and social benefits, despite arguments from most economists that such changes would sink GDP growth rates. Clichy faces up to 40 years in prison and is subject to brain dance rehabilitation therapy. In the world of shipping, many ask, when will our oceans be open to us again? In the wake of the Red Decade, key shipping channels remain littered with undetonated explosives, and rogue autonomous submarines continue to attack freight vessels on the open seas. With shipping restricted to ground and air, transport costs have ballooned by more than 3,000%, which in turn has severely slowed the global economy. The governments of the world must step up to the task of opening our oceans for business once more. Call your representative today. Thank you for tuning in to WNS News. See you next time. We return to today's breaking story of an attack on a Santo Domingo power station. The assailants, who remain unidentified, broke into the station and severely damaged the cooling system, which led to a sharp spike in EMP emissions. In the immediate aftermath of the attack, many residents nearest to the power station suffered critical implant failures. So powerful were the EMP, the entire city was plunged into darkness for several hours. Reports from the NCPD suggest nomad outlaws are likely to blame and are currently weighing plans for retaliation. We will continue to keep you updated as the situation develops. We return to today's breaking story of an attack on a Santo Domingo power station. The assailants, who remain unidentified, broke into the station and severely damaged the cooling system, which led to a sharp spike in EMP emissions. Fortunately, most nearby populated areas avoided exposure to the EMP. Considering the scale of the damage, human casualties were held at a minimum. Reports from the NCPD suggest nomad outlaws are likely to blame and are currently weighing plans for retaliation. We will continue to keep you updated as the situation develops. Hello, my name is Arif Iqbal, and this is WNS News. Today's story. A routine roadside inspection led the NCPD to the trail of a dangerous abductor and murderer. The incident occurred at the intersection of 7th and 15th Avenue. The following police footage was captured at the scene.
1038, I repeat at 1038. Registration 2AA6244. We're exiting our vehicle now.
Copy that.
Out of the car! Hands up!
Easy, officer. Relax.
Shut your mouth!
Oh, shit.
We have a 1053 and a 1054. I repeat, a 1053 and a 1054.
The boy from the footage is LeVar Martinez, age 17. His parents reported his disappearance over a month ago. Unfortunately, LeVar's life could not be saved. His body could not withstand the severe septic shock he suffered. Autopsy reports revealed the teenager was given dangerously high levels of hormones, anabolic steroids, and stimulants. The possessions and genetic material of 7 other missing teens were also found in the car, belonging to one Anthony Harris. Unfortunately, their fates remain unknown. Although the criminal widely known as Peter Pan survived the gunshot, he has not regained consciousness, making interrogation impossible. Please stay tuned to WNS News for developments in the story. Hello, it's time for your local news. A raid on an organic meat trafficking ring, and a malaria outbreak in the Glen. But first, we turn to a mysterious connectivity failure in Pacifica. Most of the district was cut off from the world for several hours, as residents could not connect to the net, local subnets, or comm systems. The NCPD has urged calm, claiming the outage was a result of standard maintenance work. We continue our look at local news after the break. Hello, I'm Arif Iqbal, and you're watching WNS News. New details have emerged on the attempted abduction of Hanako Arasaka at the Arasaka-sponsored Dashi Parade. Early accounts first reported that the assailants struck as the parade was in full swing. They overwhelmed and seized control of the Arasaka heiress's parade platform. Fortunately, Arasaka security forces, under the personal direction of Yorinobu Arasaka, quickly tracked down the abductors and secured Hanako-sama. Yorinobu-sama has since issued a public statement condemning the perpetrators' deplorable actions and promising swift retribution.
To those who raise a hand against the Arasaka family, I promise you, we will rip the hand off and pour salt in the bloody stump.
WNS News has been notified of a breaking story. Saburo Arasaka lives once more, though now in the body of his son. The CEO was reported dead months ago, but now it's been revealed that a copy of his consciousness was made before his death. It appears his consciousness was used to override that of his son and heir Yorinobu Arasaka. This shocking development was revealed at a press conference earlier today.
皆さん、いらっしゃい。祖父はよく、枯れ落ちた花は枝に戻らないと言っていました。人は誰も物心ついた瞬間から死を恐れるものです。ついに人類最大の恐怖が克服されました。私、三郎荒坂は今、息子の体を使い、皆さんの前に立っています。私はかつて頼信に生を与えました。 彼は愛する父のためにそれを返してくれたのです。私のいない間、頼信は会社を変革しようといくつかの決定を下しましたが、これは過ちでした。私の指揮のもと、荒坂社は元の姿を取り戻します。決して揺らぐことのない強い荒坂が帰ってくることを約束いたします。ご清聴ありがとうございました。
Today is truly a historic day. Today, technology has fulfilled the promise left empty by religion. Saburo-sama, makoto ni omedetou gozaimasu.